Do you get it?
No, we're just hearing you.
No, about the video?
We don't see your video yet.
Okay, now it should. No.
Okay, there we go. Great, Edwina. We can see and hear you. So why don't you introduce yourself and get going with your presentation, and we'll be taking questions through the chat window as you're talking.
Okay, great. I'll start my presentation. Okay, ready to go?
Yep.
Okay, my name is Edwina Mercer, and I'm a PhD student on the nanomembrane toilet. I've been on this project since my master's, so since 2012, so I feel a lot of dedication to this project and have seen how it evolved from the very start. So where does our poo currently go when we flush a toilet? It goes straight to a wastewater treatment plant. However, a wastewater treatment plant, although it can treat all the waste and then it comes out and it's all clean, it needs a lot of land and it needs skilled workers. It needs electricity and it needs a lot of water. And it also needs to be connected to a sewerage system. So all our houses are connected to the wastewater treatment system through this network. And in many places, this is very costly. However, what about the houses, such as these places, very densely populated houses, these houses which can't be connected to a sewerage system? And what about the very remote places that also can't be connected? What happens to the waste of these houses? Currently, in these places, so predominantly developing countries, people use pit latrines. So a pit latrine is like a hole in the ground, and you can do your business. And it's usually a communal place. So the people who are in the places, in the villages, they go to this communal place and they do their business there. And this is what it looks like inside. It's just a hole in the ground. You do it and you forget about it. Although, what about at nighttime? Some people don't want to leave their home to go to these places, to the pit latrines, in terms of safety at night. And also, these pit latrines can become very smelly, so a lot of people try to avoid them. And then this causes open defecation, so people pooing outside, and that is not dog poo. And if the pit latrines are used, there's also the problem of how do we empty the pit when it's full? So we do have technologies such as vacuum vans, which can vacuum out all the waste. However, what happens if the streets are really small, and what happens if the particular place can't use this, can't buy this technology? There are other other methods to take it out, such as a drill and other things like that, but usually they get blocked with all the rubbish inside the pit latrines. So a lot of times people actually manually have to dig out the pit, sometimes even go in the pit and remove it themselves. And when it is taken away, there are a lot of times where there's actually no wastewater treatment for this waste to go to. So even though in the villages there are pit latrines and places to put your waste, but then this goes into the environment anyway. And then what happens when there's a lot of rain? What happens when it floods? This is all going to come out of the pit latrines. It's all going to come out of all the places, all the septic tanks. And then this will just go, and then this will just go into the rivers anyway. And the whole point of trying to improve sanitation is to make sure that the bugs, the pathogens, don't come in contact with us. However, with the current solution, we're still going to come in contact with them because we'll be swimming in the rivers, we'll be washing our clothes in the rivers, we'll be drinking water from the rivers. And although the sanitation situation has improved since 2012, For example, in 2012, there were 2.6 billion people without adequate sanitation. Now it's 2.4. This problem still persists. And this is mainly in sub-Saharan Africa, as you can see. But it is promising to see that there is improved sanitation in some of these areas with the current solutions. But something needs to urgently be done. And the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, they do a lot of work around the world treating diseases, helping with sanitation. And in the sanitation department, they, in the transformative technologies department, they said, why don't we reinvent the toilet? So they said, okay, let's make a challenge to scientists around the world. And this was in 2012. Cranfield University, wacky as we are, we decided, okay, let's try this. And the main challenge was to make sure that this toilet does not require water, a water source. It doesn't require external electricity. And it doesn't smell, so we can actually use this in the house, and people will want to use this. So in reality, what we're trying to do is we're trying to make a mobile phone version of the toilet. And this was when the nanomembrane toilet was born. So the nanomembrane toilet is meant to treat a household of 10 people in a house. And so the waste goes in, and then the poo is treated on one line, and then the urine is treated on another line. And there are a few different treatment processes. So I'm just going to play a video so you get a better idea about it.
I don't want to use the public toilet or go outside anymore, I told my mama. I want our own toilet in our house. Don't be silly, she said. We don't have running water or a sewer. How are we going to have our own indoor toilet? Then one day, a nice man visited in our truck. It was full to the top with shiny new toilets.
Being a toilet man is a job that brings happiness to my customers and one that makes me a living. I have a contract to sell and maintain the toilets. It's an idea that came from some scientists in England.
We have designed a household-scale, sit-down toilet that families will aspire to have in their homes. It's easy to use, hygienic, and crucially for the user, the odor is controlled in the toilet.
It's true. It really doesn't smell, which is great as we keep it in the house.
Why isn't it smelly? Well, it's a toilet bowl with a rotating ceiling flush. Once the user has finished, they close the lid. This action drives the rotating mechanism, so the toilet is flushed without using any water or power, yet still preventing smell. The waste then empties into the holding chamber below. The swipe blade and bowl rotate together, cleaning the surface as they move. It's a true flush-and-forget mechanism. The waste is now in the holding tank. The liquid floats on top, while the solids sink to the bottom. This sludge is carried away by an Archimedes screw. The screw lifts the solid waste to the top, where it's converted into small dry pellets, which then feed into the combustor.
Every week, we remove the ash and throw it away, like any other household waste.
The liquid rises to the top of the tank, passes over a weir and into a channel, where it is warmed by the heat generated from the solid waste combustor. The liquid then passes into the membrane bundles. Pure, pathogen-free water passes through the membranes, where it's driven along by a sweet gas. This water then condenses on the heat exchanger and drains into a tank, which doubles as a step at the front of the toilet.
This water is very handy. We use it for cleaning and for watering our plants.
Under my contract, I service each toilet every 3 months. I take the membranes away for regeneration and put in new sets. And it's affordable, as I charge my customers under 5 US cents per user per day.
But our pennies well spent, as this one toilet has changed their lives and improved the health of my whole family.
The difference one toilet can make.
Okay, so on this team, as you can see, it's a very complicated process. We have a lot of team members. So we actually have people in the design team, we have people in the energy team, and we have people in the water team to try and look at all these different parts and eventually piece them together. So you can see how many people we actually have working on this project. So it's a really big team effort, and also other people who have been here in the past.
I want our own toilet in the house, I told my mama.
Sorry about that. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to bring up the highlights of the different technologies within the toilet that our team have discovered. And I'm going to start with someone in the design team. So this is Jake, and he was looking at the user perspectives of the toilet. So how do we build this toilet to make people actually want to use it? What do people want out of this toilet? And what should the toilet look like? How easy should it be to use? And he did a few surveys in Ghana, which he has a paper which will hopefully come out within the next few months. And then we had another PhD student, Ross, and he worked on the Waterless Flush. So here is my small toilet model here. So he worked on this part. So the urine and feces go in here, drop in here, and then this rotates. Then there's a swipe, which swipes off the poo like a spatula, and then that drops into the toilet bowl. And then that settles into this part here, and then the urine is here, and the feces settles down here. Apologies for the graphic pictures, but this is the reality of the situation. And then this goes on to the Archimedes screw. So the feces is like deposited here, and the screw actually acts to wring out the feces and to bring all the water out and to dry it so it's ready to go into the next step. And if you want more information, there's a paper about looking at different screw types and speeds to get the best conditions in this kind of system. And the main problem that we had was a lot of large particles from the poo. And then the feces then drops into the drying section here, which is still under progress, and we should have more results about that soon. And then this goes into the combustor. So the combustor is like the life force of the toilet, and this burns the poo, and it's very, very small. It's as small as a Coke can, and this can reach temperatures of up to 550 degrees Celsius. But don't worry, it's not like sitting on a volcano, because actually all the heat used from this burning is needed in the system. And here are a few results that the energy team found about burning the poo. So actually we can reach 15 millijoules per kilogram, which is quite a lot. And it actually is higher than wood biomass. And we can even burn the poo at quite a high moisture content as well, considering that. So yeah, the poo is very valuable. We cannot waste that. And if you want more information, we have the two papers here done by Tosin, which was a postdoc on the energy team. And what was interesting as well with the whole energy balance, another person on the team, David, he looked to see how much excess energy there could be, and potentially we might even be able to have a toilet which could charge a mobile phone. So keep your eyes peeled on that. And then this part is what I'm more familiar on, because I'm in the water team. So this is a urine processing. Up to now, I've been talking about the journey of the feces and what happens to that. The urine takes a different route. So this goes over the rear, which you can see here. And this goes to the membranes. And the membranes materials which act as filters, like a sieve. So this filters out the contaminants, which should make the water safe to handle, tackling the problem of sanitation. And within our team, we've looked at lots of different aspects. So looking at how do we get as much water as possible from these different materials. So one of the team members, Karen, she wrote a paper about what is the best thickness of the membrane to get, and what configurations do we have. And this is my piece of work. So I was looking at different membrane materials. In fact, I was looking at 6 different ones, and I was trying to see which membrane material is best to treat the water to the best quality. But there are so many things to consider. We have to consider how well does it treat organics, how well does it treat salts. Of course, a lot of these membranes will treat the nasty pathogens, but one of the main things actually I was looking at was, can these membranes stop odor? From the survey in Ghana conducted by the team at the start of phase 2, they found out that no one will reuse the water if it smells of poo, which of course no one will want to do that. But the shocking thing was the users would rather go to the original sources where they got their water from, even though it's contaminated and it's dirty, in terms of it's cloudy, it's lots of particles, but it doesn't smell, and users would rather be at risk doing that than using safe water with a little bit of smell. So I'm actually looking at all these different membranes. All of the thing is I have to take into account how much does the membrane material cost? Can it process enough water? We have to process the waste of 10 people per day, that is 17.5 litres of urine and feces. Which is a perfect membrane? And it looks like so far that maybe the perfect membrane does not exist because there are so many different pros and cons. But maybe we can make a module which uses different membrane materials, so the ultimate outcome can be a clean water. And from this research, we can decide whether it's going to be used for a low-risk application, so whether we can water the plants, or maybe clean the house, maybe cook with it, or ultimately, if anyone is daring enough, would they drink it? And that's my part of the presentation done. If you'd like to join me, I can actually show you some of the rigs in action.
And while she's moving, I'll interject here. We will certainly open up round for question and answer. So get your questions ready as she brings us to demonstration.
So this is the lab at Cranfield University. And over here is the nanomembrane toilet testing area for the water team. So this is the rig I was telling you about, looking at how do we reuse the water. So I have a lot of different membrane materials here. So we have ultrafiltration, which is one process, reverse osmosis, we have membrane distillation, and we have evaporation. And as you can see, there are so many different configurations. So these are hollow fiber membranes, and then this is a flat sheet membrane. You can see that there. So we've tried to design this rig to make sure that we can use all the different processes. And we have one membrane here, quite a monster, but this I have the highest hopes for. This is a ceramic membrane, which means that it's not prone to fouling. However, it's very expensive, and the water quality will be very good. So we have to kind of find that balance. But I'm yet to trial this. So this will be the next one. And we have another rig here, which is a fellow PhD student Farhad is working on. He's working on what configuration do we put the membranes in. So if we pack them so closely together, then we can make more of a membrane surface area and we can process more water. But if we pack them too closely together, then all the particles in the feces, they'll get stuck and they'll clog. and then we won't be able to use the membrane at all. So we need to find how closely packed together we can pack them, and in what configuration. And you can see from this big tank here, he is running really long timescale trials, and at the moment it's with singular feces, with the fake stuff, but eventually it's going to be the real stuff, so good luck to him. And then this rig here is looking at how do we make electricity from urine. So urine actually has quite a few resources in it, for example, the salt, and we can use salt in urine actually to drive a voltage. So we're going to try and see how much of the urine we can actually benefit from. And the other things team may be looking at is fouling as well. So fouling, how long can we use the membranes for before they break and we need to service them again. So between us, we're looking at all these different parts, and the main challenge is how do we fit them together within the water team, but the even bigger challenge is how do we make the whole system fit together within all the teams to bring it to working standard and eventually have field trials and eventually on the market. Thank you very much.
We do have a question for you, Edwina. Let me get to it. And it is, have you had any interest from the World Health Organization or any other large international organization?
I'm not personally, I wouldn't know that, but maybe I can pass on the details of the communications lady on the team who might know that.
That'd be great. If you can add that, we'll put that question on the Facebook page as a follow-up, or we can tweet it out. But yeah, the question was if there's been any attention for the toilet from impactful large organizations. Does anybody else have questions for Ms. Mercer? My question to you is, who's your camera person?
Sarah.
Hi. Nice to see you.
Hola, Sarah.
Hi, Joan. Hello, everybody.
So, Sarah, I'm glad that you put your face on camera. She has, she's been a co-coordinator for Ripples Make Waves on the other side of the pond. So I'm in Flint, Michigan. Sarah has been working diligently to obtain speakers and communicate and promote Ripples Make Waves on the other side of the ocean. So in front of everybody, thank you, Sarah. Couldn't do it without you.
Thanks, Joan. Same here.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I think there's another question. We saw it there. Can be? Bristol. How does the toilet handle feces from people who are malnourished?
So, you mean people with diarrhea?
I think
Put it
so.
bluntly. Well, because we have kind of post-source separation, so you have some toilets which separate by having two ports, so urine goes in one hole and the feces in another hole. And we wanted to overcome that issue that maybe it's going to be misused. Like, what if you have diarrhea? Then the diarrhea is going to be watery, and that's going to be treated as if it was a solid. So that's why we've tried to put the urine and feces together in the bowl, and then eventually those solids will settle, and the water will come on top, so maybe the diarrhea will be in that, and then that will go to the membranes to be treated as it was urine. So we have that sedimentation stage to overcome the misuse. And also, some people like wash their bums instead of use toilet paper. So it's to overcome kind of user misuse or diarrhea or anal hygiene.
Do you have another question?
Yep.
Do you have an idea of how much this will cost? I think there is a...
That is it. Well, the main aim is to make sure it's going to be less than 5 cents per user per day. And so it's going to be not that you buy it, but that you rent the toilet, which should be accessible because a lot of people can afford mobile phones and contracts like that. So sanitation is very essential as well. And of course, if it's mass marketed, that will also drive the cost down.
Wasn't that one of the requirements?
The requirement for us to pass to the next stage, to get the next funding, is to make sure that we can keep it within that service model. Any other questions?
Yeah, there's one question in the question box, and let me read it to you directly. We are kind of grossed out talking about poop. How are you able to work with such pungent materials?
Oh my goodness. Well, the first time I worked with real poo was quite an experience. I mean, my eyes were watering. I felt I was going to be sick. But then you kind of realize what the purpose is for, and then like those 2.4 billion people have to deal with this directly. You kind of think, okay, if I can just overcome this quickly, then, and just to get this research done, then eventually something can be made so no one will have to deal with that. And now I'm so desensitized, I can see poo, I can smell poo, and I don't recognize it as a bad thing. I mean, I might even say that I'm starting to like it, which is quite a big thing.
Well, that's a great quote we can promote out for your session, Edwina.
I would like to point out that happens here a lot with all the people who work with runoff, with this kind of sewage and things like that. Completely love the problem with that, and we talk about it during the meals, during the lunch, and it's a completely normal topic at the end of the day.
Yeah, sorry about the pictures. I have worse. I tried to put the easy ones in.
Real life.
Real life.
So any other questions?
I don't see any pending questions in the chat or the Q&A.
Oh, there was one.
Okay, so how did you decide on a more Western modern toilet design? Well, personally, I didn't do that. That was down to the design team. And I think they had a lot of questions and screening, and they asked the people in Ghana what would look nice. And I think one of the PhD students is actually working on research, which is how do we make technology which is fit for the developing world and developed world as well. So it's kind of, we're hoping that eventually this toilet can not only be used in the developing world, but can be used in the developed world in terms of maybe in ski resorts, those space missions where you don't have the wastewater treatment plants. So we're hoping that it can eventually be applied to more places. So that's why it has to be designed to kind of look appealing and fit the world, really.
It's a matter of marketing too.
Yeah.
You have to be careful with what you design because you expect people to want to use it. And probably from developing countries, they kind of like the Western design. It's easier for them to use something that they already know than to try them to use something completely new. So it's also a matter of social marketing that has to be considered in all these projects.
Well, I think without pending questions, we could probably wrap it up because I know, well, I was told that I need to put my face on camera. I'm actually still joined with students from Flint, but Sarah has to get ready for our next session because it is, let me just take a quick look. Our next session is coming from Haiti, and it is from Marianne Nonglaten, and she's going to be talking about teaching proper hygiene in a developing country, which I would think incorporates the fact that water might not be so accessible. So unless there's, oh, I see something popped up. Hold on, let's not let go here.
Let us Edwina for the last question.
Okay, so so toilet paper. Yes, we've considered that, but we haven't trialed it properly. But we're hoping to trial that within the next few months, and we're hoping that actually the toilet paper can help with the separation and to dry the poo more, so it can go into the combustor easily, and also be an extra source of combustion for the combustor.
That was a very popular presentation. Thank you very much, Edwina.
No worries.
We wrote it up for you. John, see you in a while.
Yep, we'll take it back here for a bit. And
Okay.
thank you so much, Edwina.
No worries. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.
See you guys.
Just a quick reminder about hashtags. It looks like World Water Day is a trending topic, so let's make sure it stays that way. And please incorporate hashtag MakeWaves17 as part of your posts, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. So I'm Joan Rory. I have really shied away from being on camera today. It's been a crazy morning here in Flint with a couple of back-to-back presentations. We had Maury Copany, and we had a number of students from Mont Middle College, and then the news crew from the local news channel showed up. So now we're sliding into a good rhythm with Ripples Make Waves, and we've got about 40 people connected right now. What we try to do in between our presenters, and the presenters start at the top of every hour, what we try to do is run a roll call in the chat as to your location, and let's find out where everybody is from. So I will turn off, I'm going to put the slide that's been created. Thank you very much. If that was Carla or Mary, thanks Cisco for being a platform host and partner for the event. I'll also say thank you to the Center for Interactive Learning and Collaboration for being a partner and manning this event with us. So this couldn't happen without both of those organizations. So thank you, CILC and Cisco. I'm going to mute my microphone. Let's take a look at what locations are logged in at the moment.